And hello again. As you might have seen from the previous videos, and which I've made completely clear in my day-to-day life, I've been obsessed with reading, and I say it frankly, obsessed with reading the Stormlight Archive. I can't read anything else. I've tried reading old books. Nothing ever seems to work because everything pales in comparison to this epitome of perfection known as the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. But there's a nagging question I wanted to discuss with all of you. Is the Stormlight Archive worth it? Should you go in to buy it, and how good really is it? Today, I want to talk about that. So first of all, if you like the fantasy genre, then yes. There's no lengthy discussion, it's just a yes. A plain, simple yes. I don't need to use elaborate explanations to try to entice you into buying the book. No, it's a 100% yes if you are a fantasy enjoyer. I'm going to throw a lot of words at you you won't understand. From cults to chasm fiends to kremlings to shadismar to urithiru to shard blades to alethkar, and from high lords and bright lords to dark eyes and light eyes, a whole mystical world waits for you, and you're going to miss out on a lot if you don't go in for the book. So for fantasy lovers, a perfect 100% yes. However, for the general fiction enjoyers, we have something to talk about. There are three main problems when a general fiction enjoyer is reading this sort of book, a fantasy novel. The first one being, in today's world of extremely short attention spans and impatience, everybody wants their novels to be this small. This is an epic. It's big, it's lengthy, it has a really high vocabulary, and it's going to take time. It needs deep understanding, proper explanations, severe scene depictions, just to set the stage for future gut-wrenching, scenes that are going to come up later on in the series. For the first book, everything is just simple world building that is required for different finales and awesome scenes that come out throughout the continuation of the series. So for those of you who are unable to have the patience to read everything slowly, word to word, understand and imagine, you should not pick up this book, because I know you will come dangerously close to dropping it in between. And trust me, you do not want to be the person who sits with a group of friends and when you're talking about books, you go, I'm the guy who dropped the Stormlight Archive. And the politics in the book can get a little monotonous, so if you do not have the patience to read it, just don't get into it. It's safer for everyone. And it's also safer for your friends to know that you haven't dropped the Stormlight Archive, which is one of the craziest things a book enjoyer, anything, a book reader or an enjoyer could do. Just don't drop the Stormlight Archive. Don't start it, but don't drop it. And the second one, if you have overcome the first obstacle, here's another one for you. It's simply that this book can be a little long. Now, of course, it's long. Have you seen the size of these things? They're massive. Just the sheer size of them will scare people away. That's not what I mean. What I mean is it requires a really deep reading, because you need to read everything from the first word to the last word, and the font is really small. And by long, I also mean monotonous and continuous. If you're reading this book for let's say for 1 hour or 2 hours, in a day you manage to squeeze out some time just to read this book, you'll just keep reading, flipping page after page, and it'll become a chore. You won't be able to keep up with any plot twists in the story, and ultimately it'll just be, I just need to finish this book. I just need to keep flipping the pages. So you need to be ready to understand everything, because if you miss even one page or a chapter, or you skip the interludes, next chapter you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? You're not going to understand anything. So if you get my point right here, you need to have a deep understanding of the entirety of Roshar and the Cosmere, which is where these books take place, in the mystical world of Roshar. And you need to understand everything about it to understand the very next chapter, the very next characters. Because Brandon Sanderson has announced that all the characters will be wiped out after the 5th book, which comes in 2024, and new characters will be introduced. So up till the 5th book, everything is jam-packed and well-connected together. So you need to understand everything. And the third and final problem is the biggest discussion of them all: realistic fiction versus fantasy fiction. Yes, I know it's a long drawn out debate, because books like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, The Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and the Inkheart trilogy, and all these fiction books, they try to tie things down into reality. They make it seem as if everything that's happening in the books is believable, and they persuade the reader to believe in all of this, and simultaneously make him or her think that such a thing is possible and it can happen in the real world given the right conditions. So they try to shove it into the real world. If you are a fan of that sort of fiction and do not like fantasy, then you should stay away from books such as Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. If you do not like fantasy fiction, you're a fan of realistic fiction, you would want to look at the Stormlight Archive, turn around and run away in the opposite direction as fast as you can. Because the Stormlight Archive is a purely fantasy world. It will yank you by the top of your hair, you won't know what's happening, and toss you into an unpredictable and unknown world. So if you do not enjoy fiction, it's absolutely not for you. If, however, you can overcome the 3 points I spoke about today, the Stormlight Archive is 100% the best series I have ever read till date, and it's not even finished. And there are 10 books which are supposed to come out, which means 6 more, and I'm already saying it's one of the best series that I've ever read in my life. So you can take that directly from me, and if you can cope up with everything I said in this video, it's all yours, and I'd love if you would grab the Stormlight Archive today and enjoy it. Now for my update on the reading of the Stormlight Archive. For those of you who are interested, last time I mentioned that I had finished Words of Radiance and started Oathbringer, and also was going to read the Edge Dancer novella. Well, I'm glad to say I finished the Edge Dancer novella. It's not too big, the font is much bigger as compared to the actual novels, the actual books, the volumes, and the font is pretty big, it's pretty short as well. I think it's only about around 300 pages, so it's really good. It's just a small time, something to pass from one book to another, a little break in all the action and everything going on. Like I said, it can get monotonous, so this is a little break. I also finished Oathbringer and Dawnshard. Right now I have started Rhythm of War, the massive book with 1230 pages, and I am this into it. I've barely scratched the surface of the massive book, and Brandon Sanderson keeps updating his Stormlight 5 percentage and keeps increasing it week by week. Hopefully we'll get it before the scheduled release in fall of 2024. Hopefully we can enjoy a fantastic end to the story of these characters we've been following so far. So that was my update on the reading of the Stormlight Archive, and a little discussion on why you should get the book. As I said, I'm obsessed. What can I do about it? So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'm gonna go read Rhythm of War, which will probably take me 70 years. So I'm gonna see you guys long in the future. Goodbye.